What's up, Star Wars nerds? And on this edition of Hyperdrives, I've got some pickups to share, including a few figures I picked up at Madness Games and Comics in the Dallas area. I was in that area for Thanksgiving, and whenever I'm in Dallas, I always stop by because they always have a great selection of Star Wars figures. And I was there on Black Friday, and they had a deal going where you could buy any 2 products in the store and get a 3rd product at equal or lesser value for free. So I picked up a few figures, starting with the Biggs Dark Lighter from the 30th anniversary, and I got this one with the intention of doing my first Kitbash. I'll explain in a minute, but let's take a look at the packaging. Love the 30th anniversary line. I used to have nearly the entire line and ended up selling it when I got full on into the vintage collection, but sadly I'm buying back some of them. Here's a look at the figure. He's got a swivel elbow on the right arm and no articulation at the elbow on the left arm. He's got a forearm that swivels, and that's it. And that's pretty shocking. I never knew the articulation was that bad. I've never had him loose before. So let's bring in one of the recent TVC X-Wing pilots. This is from that 4-pack. This is the human male of that 4-pack. And what I want to do is kitbash this by removing the head. I'm going to have to remove the neck as well, and then gluing on the Biggs head onto the modern figure. And here's how it turned out, and it looks okay. I can't articulate his head movement, but I think this is going to be good enough for display. Next from Madness, I picked up the Legacy Collection version of Yoda and Kybuck. I have the original mint on card for the 30th anniversary, and I wanted to pick up a second to actually have loose. And this is just an awesome release. I love the Tartakovsky Clone Wars. Of course, this is more of a realistic interpretation rather than the animated style, which I'm fine with. And here they are out of the box. Let's take a look at the Yoda. And sadly, his head does not articulate at all, unless mine is just stuck. But he's got decent articulation. He's got ball hinges at the shoulders. He's got this cool little harness across his chest, which on the back through his cape has a little holster for his tiny little lightsaber, and that's really cool. I had no idea that holster was on the back of this figure until now. But he's got just swivel hips. Now let's look at the Kybuck. Kybuck actually has more articulation than I thought he would. Forearms articulate, the head moves, legs move, and the tail can swivel if you want to. Now trying to get Yoda on there is a little bit of a challenge. You have to just kind of set him on there, but there is a peg if you want to use that to have him standing. And that may actually work out better, but let me try to get him sitting on there instead. And it's a bit tricky because his legs cannot actually straddle the Kybuck, so he kind of just has to balance on there. So he's going to fall off very easily. You have to be really careful, but there I got him balanced. But, you know, it looks a little bit awkward because his legs don't really straddle properly. So I think I actually prefer him kind of in this standing pose with the peg, because this is a pretty cool action pose that looks like he's about to jump off the Kyback to slice up some battle droids. And finally from Madness, I picked up Cato Parasiti from the Clone Wars animated line. Now, I'm not a big fan of the Clone Wars animated line. I don't collect too many of these, but I love the bounty hunters, and I already had a couple other Clone Wars bounty hunter figures, so I needed Cato to go with them, and she looks pretty awesome. So here's a look at the packaging, but I am going to get this figure out of the box. And here she is out of the box, looking really good. Let's take a closer look at this figure. Check out the head sculpt. That looks fantastic. Really liking what I'm seeing there with that head sculpt. And check out her visor. I did not know her visor is actually translucent. That is so cool how you can kind of see her eyes through the face shield. And looking at the rest of the figure, very nice detailing here, very colorful. Of course, it is animated style, so it's a little exaggerated with the colors and the way, the shape of the legs, that sort of thing. But I really like it. They did a great job here. There is some articulation at the knees, even though she has swivel hips. But overall, this is a really awesome figure for that animated line. And here is Cato with my other Clone Wars bounty hunters, Cad Bane and Embo, 2 other awesome animated style bounty hunters. And last but not least, a little early Christmas gift to myself. I picked up this Luke Skywalker Bespin Fatigues on a 47 back. This is an AFA graded 70. Now, normally if I'm picking up a graded Kenner figure, I try to aim for at least an 80 or maybe a 75 plus. But in the case of this one with the alternate cardback image, they're very expensive. An 80 grade of this figure can easily run you like $1,200, and that is not the kind of money I'm looking to spend on my collectibles. So I don't mind paying the third of the price to get a lower grade as long as it displays pretty well, and this one does. It's got its defects, but it still looks good. Now, one of the reasons I've been wanting this particular Bespin Luke is I love the alt image. Now, this figure on the left obviously is TVC, but that is the original original image for this Kenner Bespin Luke, but I never really liked that image. It's very grainy, very blurry. So I much prefer the looking photo Luke, as they call it. And the other reason I wanted this particular Luke was because I already had the alt image Leia Bespin as well. Love this figure, one of my favorites in my vintage Kenner collection. This one is graded 75 plus, but overall displays beautifully. Really love this figure and card back. And so I'll bring in the TVC of this Bespin Leia that has the original version of the image that Kenner used, which is there. Of course, they touched this one up and it made it look way better than the original Kenner release. And that's a great card back too, but I always love this alt one better with the blue in the background. And it's actually taken from the movie versus the other one is like she's posing for a promotional photo. So these two Kenner figures are the only Empire Strikes Back figures that had alternate image card backs. So I'm just so excited that I have both of them in my collection now. And by the way, the TVC Bespin Luke is terrible. It is so outdated. I would love for Hasbro to give us an all-new Bespin Luke and put him on this card back, and then go ahead and reissue the Bespin Leia. Maybe give her some updates and put her on the alt card back as well. Thanks for watching.